Hello everyone and welcome back to Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles on the SEGA Mega Drive. I am one Welsh sheep yet again, and this is quite possibly one of the most radical and just overall bodacious sections of the game. This is amazing. Now, for this little sequence, I don't recommend pushing the jump button because, well, you'll jump and you miss out on all the beautiful rings. But yes, this, ladies and gentlemen, is Ice Cap Zone, and this is actually the final part of the first half of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. This isn't the longest game in the world, folks, when it's separated from its full version. Anyway, for whenever you see these ice pillars, what you're going to want to do is simply just do a quick spin dash and it'll break them open. And yeah, if you jump across here, or I completely missed, because basically don't break that switch, and there was a hidden golden ring, special ring if you will, that you can pick up. But yeah, this, folks, is quite possibly one of the greatest songs in the game, one of the greatest levels in the game, and I just love it. It's just so tranquil, it's so upbeat, it's so up-tempo. It sort of gives you the feeling of it's time to get closer to the end, we're almost done. But yeah, one interesting extra feature about the lightning shield that I have not mentioned is the fact the lightning shield can actually stop spike balls that are made of ice that are carried by those Orbinaut enemies, which are basically the big orbs that throw spike balls at you. But you saw me kill one like not long ago. Anyway, for the most part, the stage as a whole is actually quite easy, and it's just one of the most popular stages in the game, one of the most popular songs in the game, to the point that a lot of people would actually say that this song and stage overall are overrated. What do I think? I don't think it's overrated at all. I love this song, I love this level. Now, the blandness that was the last series of levels sort of gets completely forgiven when you get to this, because this is one of the best stages in not only Sonic 3, but one of the best stages as a whole in the entire game, although this is the best stage in the Sonic 3 portion of the game. There's a couple of contenders in the Knuckles portion that I'll be talking about when we get to it. But of course, what you want to do is, that slide will infinitely loop unless you find that ice rock thingy and push it down. Push it down, you'll open up a new passageway, allowing you to continue onwards. There was a passageway like that earlier on at the beginning of the level where you just had to jump at the right time as well. It's overall easy stage to get around, and that's all I can say. Although be careful in this chamber by here, because if you fall all the way down, the entire area will loop, and you will have to repeat where you've been again, so you'll have to repeat this entire segment of the level. And one of the beauties of this stage as well, as you can see right now, the graphics are, oh my god, outstanding. I mean, I know it's a 16-bit game, but my god, this could be released today, and just art design alone, people would be like, oh my goodness. Of course, now we're outside, which signifies it's time to duel. Now, this boss fight here is actually quite an easy boss fight. What he basically does is you summon up these ice balls from the bottom of the screen. Now, these ice balls, they'll come back and forth from they'll basically surround him like a shield of sorts. If you hit them, obviously you'll get hurt. So basically, double jump or use supersonic to jump up when the time is right, and you can take him out no problem. That boss is basically just a timing minigame. You don't have to worry about it at all in the slightest. But with that is Ice Cap Zone completed, so now let's move on to Act 2, where the music gets a bit more up-tempo, and now we are outside in the ice caps themselves. I have to say, I really love just the art style, this entire area. Like, one thing I haven't really mentioned in this game yet is just the sheer amount of detail that you can see in the environments. Like, you can see all the icicles, frozen water just dripping off of these loop-de-loops. The backgrounds are amazing. Seriously, this game is just fantastic looking overall. I can't say much more about it. And I do love this remix as well of the Ice Cap theme, the first of many. The first of many. Although I don't know what happened there, I just sort of clipped through the floor of the loop. That's strange. Anyway, if you can't get enough speed of spin dash, you can't go up there, and it will give you an extra life and a bit of an alternate route that you can take. I usually end up heading down this route anyway though, which leaves you to a new gameplay mechanic, these bouncy springs. Basically, jump from a high place, you land on a spring. If you land on a spring, well, obviously the game will let you bounce higher and higher and higher until you reach the next area, where you can progress onwards. And also, that penguin badnik that I just booped in the head, quite possibly has one of the greatest badnik names out of all the badniks in the entire franchise. The Mighty Penguinator. Seriously, it just sounds so freaking amazing. You won't mess with something called that, I'll tell you that much. Although as a badnik they are pretty pathetic, so all they do is so slight towards you, but trust me, they are actually they're quite cute, aren't they? Quite nice little dutty little things. But of course, let's just continue moving onwards. We still need to make use of these bouncy springs, and we are almost done with Ice Cap Zone. It's a lot shorter than the previous zone, which is probably part of the reason why I love this zone so much. Seriously, it's really short. Of course, the next zone will probably, if I remember correctly, the next zone will make up for that, and I am going to be doing both this zone. Basically, I'm going to beat the entire first half of the game in this video, so there we go. Anyway, Eggman's mech by here. What he's going to basically do, he's going to shoot ice blasts from left, up, then right. And basically, he's going to continue working in that clockwise pattern. And basically, well, not in that clockwise pattern. Basically, he's going to keep shooting ice. That's all you need to see. You can see the pattern yourself. Whenever he shoots an ice blast, basically hit him. And, yeah. After so many hits, he becomes a lot easier. He starts going smaller, and you'll be able to boop him, or in my case, get frozen. And that was Ice Cap Zone over and done with. Like I said, one of the best stages in the game. Extremely short. It's actually one of the few levels I could say could have gone on a bit longer, and I would not have complained. Unlike Carnival Night Zone, it's a freaking 5-minute long level, but I digress. Let's just continue moving into the Launch Base Zone, the final stage of Sonic 3 alone. Oh yay! Now, what I love about this level is just in the background you can see the Death Egg as it's being built, being prepared for liftoff, and I don't know, it's just the aesthetics and graphics of Sonic 3 and Knuckles are just amazing. Like, the Sonic 3 and alone portion of the game, I'm honestly not the biggest fan of. I stated this before. I don't know if I said this in the LP, but I said this many times before. I'm not a big fan of this half of the game, but when it gets locked on to Sonic and Knuckles, which I'm going to be doing, oh my god, the game suddenly turns into something special. Of course, the Knuckles portion of the game on its own is just amazing in its own right, so... But yeah, that's something for part 5 onwards to talk about. Anyway, these snail badniks, you can't hurt them unless they open up the little shooty hatch and try and shoot you. Honestly, no bad badnik at all, very easy to take care of. And yeah, although this has been like the final area of Sonic 3, this is very mechanical themed, I have to say. It got loads of laser beam badniks, which are very annoying if I do say so myself, because they'll just boop you when you don't expect it. You got these frogs, I think, and they basically shoot out crushing balls of death at you. Again, easy things to take care of. Got these birds, they fly at you. And this zone is actually quite an interesting zone in that you can grind for lives purely by standing still. How? Well, basically there's these 2 lamppost things, you see me go past them previously, and they basically act like, I guess, metal detectors? Yeah, let's say metal detectors. And basically if you stand in them and do spin dash constantly, what will happen is enemies will keep spawning and coming at you, and because you're doing a constant spin dash, well, the enemies will keep dying, so your score will slowly rack up. Would I recommend doing that? No. For one thing, you're at the final stage, why would you bother doing something like that? I don't understand doing something like that in the first place. This game's easy. I mean, look, I got 10 lives for one thing already. But I digress. Although I'm not the biggest fan of the level music of this stage. I mean, it's very... I don't know, it just doesn't seem all that climactic or anything. I mean, this does not feel like a final stage. It really doesn't, and kind of makes sense considering the game was split up into 2 halves, but I would have liked it if they tried to make it seem somewhat climatic. I mean, well, I guess they did try with the Death Egg being in the background, be like, huh, look, this is the thing you've been going after, but I don't know. Either way, stage overall is pretty bleh. It doesn't really launch past my expectations if you are you. Dick move game. Although those Orbanaut enemies that I just killed a couple of, very wise to kill them by you taking advantage of the glorious instant shield, which I mentioned before, where you just jump the button in the air and get a tiny little invincibility frame. Very useful against those enemies in a zone, considering those enemies are pretty much everywhere in this zone. It's very wise to take use of it. Seriously though, I'm not a big fan of this music. I'm not a big fan of the level design either of the stage. It's not as good as, say, Sky Chase or anything like that. It just doesn't feel like Endgame. I don't know if I'm alone with that, but hey, Eggman. I guess it's time to pay the good old doctor a visit and continue through, because I think we're going through this pretty quickly. Hey, Knuckles. Well, that escalated quickly. He just threw a bomb at us. Alright, that makes a change. Seriously, he normally just does a small prank, not destroy an entire building and try and stop us. Shame he didn't throw the bomb literally at us, because otherwise we'd be kind of gone right now. But anyway, there's this first act pretty much over and done with, so you can boop Eggman a few times when he goes past, but you can't kill him. And it's time for this boss fight, one of the easiest bosses in the game, if I do say so myself. Basically, what he's going to do, he's going to slowly run towards you and flail, it's like spike ball chains at you. What you want to do is basically wait for the chain to be out of the way of you, so you can just jump up and kill him. Really easy boss fight. You can get nicked by the ball and chain quite easily, but overall, it's a pretty basic boss. Get it? Basic, because we're in launch-based zone. Shut up, I'm trying. Anyways, Act 2 is quite interesting, because now we're actually on a load of pipes. Mario, eat your heart out. And as you can see now, we can't see any... Whoa, that was weird. I clicked through the ceiling, that's strange. But as you can see in the background, there's loads of mountain sides and stuff, so a nice little progression that I'm surprised I never noticed before when I was playing this game, where we're now actually on scaffolding. I think this is all this pipe's meant to be, all scaffolding, all the fuel pipes. Could be wrong, mind you, but hey, we just need to finish off and progress up to the Death Egg, finish this off finally, and then get on to the part of the game I'm so looking forward to, which is obviously the best part of the game. Anyway, climbing up here, you don't need to take this route. You can quite easily take the lower routes, which tend to be quicker, I think. But the upper route, I don't know. Actually, in Sonic games, the lower route usually tends to be quick. Yeah, not quicker. What am I looking for? What's the word? They tend to be slower, but I don't know. Okay, that fire is not touching me. You can see right there. The flame isn't nowhere near. Okay. Whatever. Fine. See if I care. See if I care. Anyway, these flamethrower thingies, you can't get rid of them in any way. They are very annoying parts of the stage. And watch out for the Eggman! Oh, Jesus, I had a heart attack. Basically, the Eggman box is there. If you land on them, bye-bye your health. Basically, if you land on an Eggman box, you lose your rings. Or if you have no rings, you will die. It counts as one enemy hit. They're very annoying. And of course, it wouldn't be a Sonic 3 level without its obligatory water section. Sean Connery. Water section, now would it? So basically, go forward. Wow, riveting commentary. That's all you need to do. Just go forward and you'll make it through the water section just fine. It's really nothing to worry about at all. Although this is the hardest point in Sonic 3, as you would imagine, because obviously it's the end game stuff, and the difficulty of the game actually does sort of ramp up from here on in the Knuckles portion, which when I was younger I used to find Sonic and Knuckles alone so difficult, because I originally didn't know. I never tried Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles together, and I didn't realize they were the same game back then. I didn't read the instruction books, what can I say? But basically, the Knuckles portion of Sonic 3 and Knuckles is... Not Knuckles portion, the second half as in, you know, the second half of the game, is where the difficulty really ramps up, is where the game actually gets interesting as well. The level design starts getting a bit more smart, more clever. It's just a lot better of a game. I mean, honestly, like I said, not a fan. And that's that bloody glitch again. Only happens in Sonic 3. I don't know if anyone else has this glitch where the game will just cut your momentum, but it drives me absolutely mad. Anyway, occasionally you're going to see these gates with laser beams shooting out of them. What can I say? Don't hit the laser. Hit the laser, you're going to get hurt. Whoa. Anyway, one interesting thing about the Orbinauts in this, they will move towards you, and I'm not entirely sure how their mechanics work, because sometimes I've noticed they sort of move towards me when I'm moving only, but sometimes they'll sort of edge towards me on their own, so I don't understand the mechanics of the Orbinauts properly. Doesn't really matter, the things are pretty pathetic enemies. If you ever get stuck with them, you shouldn't really get stuck with them if you have Sonic. If you have Tails and Knuckles and you're playing as them, then I assume then you could have some trouble with the Orbinauts, because you don't have the instant shield. Either way, boss fight number 1 of Launch Base Zone. That's right, there's multiple bosses for this zone, 3 to be exact. But basically, if you have Sonic, all you want to do is jump up and use your instant shield until he dies. And hey, let's hijack his thing. Bye, Tails. Hope you have a good time. Anyway, let's head on to the actual main deck of the Death Egg itself. Hey, Knuckles, what's up? Hey, that's just mean. I don't understand why he's laughing. He didn't really accomplish much. Haha, I pushed you back a few inches. Oh, he's lucky it's a 2D game. I could just go around him. Anyway, you guys just come up as the Death Egg starts taking off. We really are cutting this close, actually. Now that I think about it. I've always liked this little set piece, though, when I was younger. Like, just the Death Egg lifting off. If you look at the rockets, you can see just fire spurting over them. I don't know. It's a shame the music just sort of ruins this entire moment. This would be better off without music, just for atmosphere purposes. Or better yet, just get a new soundtrack that sounds atmospheric, I don't know. Anyway, time to take on what would normally be the final boss of the stage if you have the stage locked on with Sonic and Knuckles. But basically this boss fight is really easy. He's going to come up and down and up from both sides of the screen. And basically just boop him on the head a few times. As time goes on, it'll stop breaking up and the boss fight will get even easier and easier as time goes on. Watch out for the small spike ball that is on his head. It does rotate and it can clip you if you're not paying attention. And his only attack is the laser beam that doesn't even aim for you, so really, you shouldn't have any issues with this boss, just take him out. There we go. And by here, this would be the end of Launch Base Zone if we were playing Sonic 3 and Knuckles combined. But because we're not, it's time to take on the final boss. There we go, now this is a climatic atmosphere I was wanting earlier. Now basically this boss fight, it's overall pretty easy, probably the easiest final boss out of the Sonic games, but if you don't know what you're doing, he can still catch you off guard, and this is one of the few bosses that if you're Super Sonic, he can actually hurt Super Sonic, so be careful. But basically what happens is whenever he flies from the left to right of the screen, you're going to want to jump up, go up to the small opening, and do an insta-shield. That will hurt him. Don't land into his hands. If you touch his hands in any way, you will get hurt and lose your rings. If you're Super Sonic, you will still get hurt and lose your rings. Honestly, this boss fight though, pretty easy, pretty pathetic. It just goes back and forth, back and forth. It's like a Mega Man X3 boss actually, with the way it just goes back. Okay, it's hurt it again. Oh, he's going the other side. What do? We hurt him again. But occasionally he's going to start popping up at the top of the screen, and when he does this, he's going to drop down and land underneath the platform, where you can't hurt him. Now you just jump over him until he becomes available to hit again. Whenever he freezes in place, that's basically your cue to get out of the way, because he's going to shoot up and go off screen. And honestly, that's all there is to the boss fight. I just have to say though, I love this music. The boss music is just absolutely amazing. Through and through. But I digress. This is basically it of Sonic 3. Of course, how might this game continue onwards into Sonic and Knuckles, you might ask, considering this is the final boss? Well, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out pretty soon. I'm out of commentary. I have nothing else to say now. Although when I was younger, this boss fight did give me quite a bit of issue. But there we go. He is done and dusted. Bye-bye, Eggman. Bye-bye, Death Egg. I don't know how this destroys the Death Egg. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Although the Death Egg itself isn't destroyed yet, even though this ending cutscene will make it appear so. We'll see why in the next part, trust me. But hey, Eggman's done. Sonic 3 is now completed, folks. And there we go. And one of the unique things about Sonic 3 is it's actually the only game out of the classic series to have itself its own ending theme. It doesn't have any medley like the other games do. And I love this ending theme quite a bit, and Sonic 3 overall is my least favorite out of the first 3 Sonic games. It's not I don't like it that much, I'm gonna be completely frank. But when Sonic and Knuckles comes around and gets locked on, this game becomes something magical. It becomes an amazing experience. So yeah, that is the end of this part, folks. I'm gonna be continuing on this LP in the next part. If you want, you can listen to the credits music and check out Yuji Naka and all the programmers. But yeah, that's the end of this. So thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't be sheepish, people. And when we return next time, we'll be taking on the game as it gets gooder, because it's still a good game. It's a perfectly fine game. It's just I prefer the second half. Anyway, like I said, thanks for watching. Don't be sheepish, people. I'll catch you all next time. Bye.